you are listening to the One Idjit's Thoughts on podcast on day 3 of the Dog Days of Podcasting Challenge, making this the 3rd day of the Dog Days of Trivia around here. I'm Paul Mackey. I'm not sure if anyone listening needs to know this, but all of the participants in this year's challenge can be heard in a single Mondo feed. You can find that at dogdaysofpodcasting.com, clicking the link to your podcast provider of choice on the right side of the screen, or just search for Dog Days of Podcasting in your podcast app of choice. I also wanted to apologize to my YouTube listeners. I packed the Dog Days of Advent videos full of supporting visual content, and while that was tons of fun to put together, I just don't have time to do those for the entire month, especially with the times during the month when I need to pre-record for one reason or another. Well, let's get to the rest of today's episode. Right, welcome back to the Dog Days of Trivia on One Idjit's Thoughts on podcast. This is Paul Mackey, and I'm presenting to you yesterday's answers. Queen released one of their biggest albums in 1975, one that featured a single that sold only at gold record status as a physical single, but was certified a diamond single in digital sales, denoting 10 million in sales. The album itself was a triple platinum release, and named after a Marx Brothers movie that was released 40 years prior, named the album. And that answer is A Night at the Opera. That single that only certified gold on physical release but diamond for downloads was, of course, Bohemian Rhapsody. They followed up that album, releasing in 1976, naming that after the Marx Brothers follow-up to Night at the Opera from 1937 called A Day at the Races. What kind of footwear is mentioned in the title of a 1975 novel and subsequent musical about growing up in religious schools? The title concerns the footwear revealing a potential inadvertent voyeuristic viewpoint. And that answer is Black Patent Leather Shoes from John R. Powers' novel, Do Black Patent Leather Shoes Really Reflect Up? The musical premiered in 1979 and ran for 3 years in Chicago, with Megan Mullally performing in it for part of the Chicago run early in her career. But the subsequent Broadway musical staging at the Alvin Theater closed after only 5 performances in 1982. And those were the answers from yesterday. Hope you got some good points. Now into the questions for today. Milton Bradley made a board game following a pop culture trend. The players moved ships around the board, attempting to avoid a spinning storm which contained magnets that could pick up their game pieces. What is the name of this 1975 game? And then a category called Hot Number 2s, which is a single that hit number 2 on the Hot 100, but did not get to number 1. I figured that this England Dan and John Ford Coley single that failed to top out on the Hot 100 in 1976 was a yacht rock song, but according to the website Yacht or Nyat, it's Nyat. I figured that a warm wind would factor in the favor of yacht. And no, Mitch, it's not about the linens. Name the song and take a bonus point if you can name the movie reference that I just dropped. And those are the questions of the day. This is the Dog Days of Trivia on the One Idjit's Thoughts on podcast, and I wish you happy hunting.